The vacuum of space was suddenly shattered by bursts of energy as the sleek, angular human warship engaged in a desperate battle against a trio of massive alien cruisers. Bright blue plasma bolts streaked across the blackness, slamming into the warship's shields and causing them to flare brilliantly. Inside the human vessel's cramped but efficient bridge, Captain Elara Voss gripped the arms of her command chair, her knuckles turning white as she barked orders to her crew. Divert all auxiliary power to forward shields. Return fire. Maximum output. The warship's powerful particle cannons unleashed a withering salvo, the bright beams lancing out and carving deep gouges in the alien ship's hulls. But for every enemy vessel they disabled, 2 more would take its place, relentlessly hammering the human warship with devastating salvos. Elara gritted her teeth, her eyes narrowing as she surveyed the tactical display. They were outmatched and outgunned, but she refused to give up. Helm, take us in closer. Let's show these bastards what humanity is made of. The warship surged forward, its engines straining as it weaved and juked, dodging the enemy's fire with breathtaking maneuvers. Elara's crew worked with a sense of desperate urgency, their fingers flying across their consoles as they struggled to keep the battered vessel intact. But it was all for naught. A massive blast rocked the warship, sending sparks and debris flying across the bridge. Shields down to 20%. One of the officers reported, his voice laced with panic. Elara knew they were running out of time. All hands, prepare for emergency jump to FTL. We have to get this data back to the fleet. She turned to her first officer, her expression grim. Set a course for the nearest human colony. Get us out of here, Lieutenant. The lieutenant's fingers danced across his console, struggling to plot a viable jump. Coordinates locked. Initiating jump drive-in. Before he could finish, a devastating barrage from the alien cruisers smashed into the warship, overwhelming the last of its shields. The vessel shuddered and groaned as hull plating peeled away, and Elara felt her heart sink as she realized they were doomed. Jump drive offline. We've lost main power. The lieutenant shouted, his face a mask of despair. Elara closed her eyes, her mind racing as she made a split-second decision. All hands, abandon ship. Get to the escape pods now. She turned to the bridge crew, her expression resolute. It's been an honor serving with you. Now go, and don't look back. The bridge erupted into chaos as the crew scrambled to follow Elara's orders, the sound of klaxons and crumbling bulkheads filling the air. Elara watched as the last of her crew disappeared through the hatch, leaving her alone on the dying vessel. She sank back into her chair, staring out at the merciless expanse of space as the alien cruisers closed in for the kill. Forgive us, humanity, she whispered, a single tear rolling down her cheek. We tried our best. The warship shuddered one last time, and then was consumed in a brilliant flash of light, its demise unwitnessed by all but the cold, indifferent stars. Ava Kincaid ducked under a low-hanging pipe, her boots crunching on the debris-strewn floor of the abandoned shipyard. She swept her flashlight across the cavernous space, her eyes narrowing as she searched for any signs of salvageable technology. It had been nearly a decade since the Galactic Council had deemed humanity's military technology obsolete and unworthy of further investment. The once bustling shipyards had fallen silent, their corridors now echoing with the eerie sounds of decay. But Ava refused to give up hope. She knew that somewhere, hidden in the shadows, lay the key to humanity's technological redemption, and she was determined to find it. As she rounded a corner, a massive shape emerged from the darkness, and Ava's breath caught in her throat. There, sitting in a pool of accumulated dust and debris, was the unmistakable silhouette of a human warship, the very same vessel that had been stripped of its funding and left to rot. Ava's heart raced as she approached the ship, her fingers tracing the sleek lines of its hull. She had only ever seen schematics and old holovids of this class of vessel, but to stand before one in the flesh was a surreal and awe-inspiring experience. Carefully, she climbed aboard, her boots clanging against the metal gangway as she made her way towards the bridge. The air was stale and musty, and Ava couldn't help but feel a sense of melancholy as she took in the abandoned control panels and darkened view screens. But then, something caught her eye. A faint flicker of light emanating from a console buried beneath a tangle of wires and cables. Ava's eyes widened, and she quickly began to clear away the debris, her fingers working with a sense of urgency. After what felt like an eternity, she managed to expose the console, and a triumphant grin spread across her face. The systems were still active, if only barely. Ava immediately set to work, her fingers dancing across the controls as she attempted to reroute power and kickstart the vessel's core systems. The ship groaned and shuddered, and for a moment, Ava feared that her efforts were in vain. But then, with a sudden burst of energy, the lights flickered to life, and the hum of the engines filled the air. Ava let out a breathless laugh, her eyes shining with a mixture of disbelief and pride. She had done it. She had brought the forgotten warship back to life. Now, all she had to do was figure out how to pilot the damn thing. As she explored the ship's systems, Ava couldn't help but marvel at the advanced technology that lay before her. The Galactic Council had clearly underestimated the capabilities of human engineering, and Ava was determined to prove them wrong. But even as she reveled in her success, a sense of unease began to creep into the back of her mind. What would happen when the Galactic Council discovered that their forgotten warship had been reactivated? Would they see it as a threat, or would they finally recognize the true potential of humanity? Ava shook her head, banishing the doubts from her mind. She had come too far to turn back now. With a renewed sense of purpose, she began to familiarize herself with the ship's systems, determined to unlock its full potential and show the Galactic Council what humanity was really made of. Ava's fingers danced across the warship's control panels as she familiarized herself with the vessel's systems. The hum of the engines and the faint glow of the view screens filled the bridge, a testament to the remarkable engineering that had gone into its design. But even as Ava marveled at the ship's capabilities, a growing sense of unease began to nag at the back of her mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, that the Galactic Council was somehow aware of her discovery. Her suspicions were confirmed when a series of blips appeared on the ship's long-range sensors. Ava's eyes narrowed as she studied the readings, her heart beginning to race. Sensors detecting multiple ships entering the system, she muttered, her voice tense. Looks like a Galactic Council task force. Ava knew she had to act quickly. If the Council discovered the reactivated warship, they would likely either seize it or destroy it outright. She couldn't let that happen, not when she had come so far. Gripping the edge of the console, Ava closed her eyes and took a deep breath, trying to calm her nerves. She had to think, to come up with a plan. But the sound of approaching ships was growing ever louder, and time was running out. Suddenly, an idea struck her. The jump drive, she whispered, her eyes snapping open. If I can just get it back online. Ava began to work with a renewed sense of urgency, her fingers flying across the controls as she rerouted power and bypassed damaged systems. The ship groaned and shuddered, but she refused to be deterred. She had to get this vessel out of here, no matter the cost. Just as the Council task force came into view, the jump drive flashed to life, and Ava felt a surge of triumph. Coordinates locked, initiating jump in 3, 2, 1. The warship lurched forward, the stars stretching into blurred lines as it hurtled through the fabric of space-time. Ava gripped the edge of the console, her knuckles turning white as she watched the alien ships disappear in the ship's wake. For a moment, she allowed herself to relax, letting out a shaky breath. But her relief was short-lived, as a new set of readings began to flash across the view screen. Ava's eyes widened as she studied the data. "What the hell?" she murmured, her brow furrowing in confusion. The jump drive had taken them far off course, and the readings indicated that they were now in uncharted territory, a region of space that the Galactic Council had long since abandoned. But that wasn't the most troubling part. As Ava scanned the surrounding systems, she detected strange energy readings, unlike anything she had ever encountered before. It was as if the very fabric of space was being distorted, warped by some unseen force. Ava's heart raced as she realized the implications of their situation. They weren't just lost. They had stumbled into something far more dangerous and unpredictable. And with the Galactic Council Task Force hot on their trail, they had no choice but to press on, into the unknown. Ava's fingers flew across the warship's control panels as she struggled to make sense of the strange energy readings that had appeared on the view screen. The readings were unlike anything she had ever encountered, and the very fabric of space seemed to be distorted around them. But she had no time to dwell on the mysteries of this uncharted region. The Galactic Council Task Force was still in pursuit, and she knew that they would stop at nothing to reclaim the vessel, or destroy it if necessary. Gritting her teeth, Ava began to reroute power to the warship's weapon systems, her mind racing as she tried to formulate a plan. She had no idea how the ship's armaments compared to the Council's advanced technology, but she knew that she had to be ready for a fight. As the task force's ships came into view, Ava took a deep breath and steadied her hands. "All right, let's see what this old girl can do," she muttered, her finger hovering over the firing control. The first salvo of plasma bolts erupted from the warship's cannons, streaking across the void and slamming into the lead council vessel. Ava watched with a mixture of awe and trepidation as the enemy ship's shields flared and buckled under the onslaught. But the council's forces were quick to retaliate, their own weapon systems unleashing a barrage of energy beams and torpedoes. Ava gripped the edge of the console as the warship shuddered under the onslaught, her eyes narrowing in concentration. Come on," she hissed, her fingers dancing across the controls as she tried to keep the ship's systems from overloading. The power levels were fluctuating wildly, and she knew that they couldn't withstand much more punishment. Suddenly, an idea struck her. "The jump drive," she exclaimed, her eyes widening. If she could just get the jump drive back online, she could potentially jump them out of this mess. Ava redirected power to the jump drive, her heart pounding as she watched the charging indicators climb. But just as the drive was about to engage, a massive blast rocked the warship, causing the power levels to plummet. Damn it! Ava cursed, her frustration mounting. She was running out of options, and the council ships were closing in for the kill. Just as she was about to abandon all hope, a strange energy surge emanated from the warship's systems, causing the view screen to flicker and distort. Ava's eyes widened as she watched the council vessels suddenly slow, their movements becoming erratic and unpredictable. "What the?" she breathed, her fingers flying across the controls as she tried to make sense of what was happening. It was then that she noticed the strange energy readings were spiking, their intensity increasing with each passing moment. Ava felt a chill run down her spine as she realized that the warship itself was somehow responsible for this phenomenon. With renewed determination, Ava began to manipulate the ship's systems, channeling the strange energy into a devastating beam of destructive force. The council vessels, caught off guard and unable to react, were helpless as the beam tore through their shields and hulls, rendering them little more than floating debris. Ava watched, her heart pounding, as the last of the enemy ships was destroyed. She had just witnessed the raw power of the forgotten warship, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and trepidation. This was no mere relic. It was a weapon of unimaginable might, and Ava knew that she had to tread carefully if she was to harness its full potential. News of the human warship's stunning victory against the Galactic Council's task force spread like wildfire through the human colonies, igniting a surge of pride and determination that had been simmering for years. In the bustling streets of the capital city, crowds gathered, their voices rising in a thunderous cheer as they celebrated the exploits of the forgotten vessel and its mysterious pilot. The once dismissive attitude towards human technology had been shattered, replaced by a renewed sense of confidence and a burning desire to assert humanity's rightful place among the stars. Ava watched the reports with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. She knew that the warship's power was both a blessing and a curse, a weapon that could be used to demand the respect and recognition that humanity deserved, but also a burden that could potentially lead to catastrophic consequences if mishandled. As the cheers echoed through the city, Ava's gaze drifted to the viewport, where the gleaming hull of the warship stood as a testament to humanity's resilience. She had to find a way to harness its power, to leverage it in a way that would benefit her species without inciting the wrath of the Galactic Council. But the Council was not about to let this challenge to their authority go unanswered. In the Grand Council chambers, the leaders of the alien civilizations convened, their faces etched with a mixture of concern and outrage. This human vessel poses a grave threat to the balance of power in the galaxy, one of the counselors, a towering Xenothian, thundered. We must act swiftly to eliminate it before it becomes a rallying point for the rest of their kind. Another counselor, a sleek, silver-skinned Eclarian, raised a hand in a gesture of caution. We must tread carefully. The humans have clearly demonstrated a level of technological prowess that we had not anticipated. Any overt aggression could provoke a wider conflict that we cannot afford. The chamber erupted into a cacophony of voices, each counselor offering their own opinion on how to handle the situation. But as the debate raged on, a young Terran diplomat, a woman named Amarazon, rose from her seat, her eyes burning with a determination that silenced the room. Honorable counselors, she began, her voice clear and unwavering. The time has come for us to recognize the true potential of the human race. We have been dismissed and overlooked for far too long. Our contributions to the galactic community marginalized and disregarded. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the assembled leaders. But no more. The actions of this lone warship have shown the galaxy that we are a force to be reckoned with, a people who will not be ignored or subjugated. We demand a seat at your table, a voice in the decisions that shape the future of our shared existence. The counselors exchanged uneasy glances, their expressions ranging from outrage to begrudging respect. Amara pressed on, her words laced with a quiet confidence. If you refuse to acknowledge our rightful place among you, then know this: we will forge our own path, with or without your consent. The human race is ready to take its place as an equal among the great civilizations of the galaxy. The choice is yours. As Amara's final words echoed through the chamber, the counselors fell silent, the weight of her challenge settling heavily upon them. The fate of humanity now rested in their hands, and they knew that the time for dismissing the humans had come to an end. The Grand Council chambers were a flurry of activity as the Galactic Council leaders convened to discuss the unprecedented challenge posed by the human warship. Amarazon, the young Terran diplomat, sat at the table, her posture straight and her gaze unwavering as she faced the assembled alien representatives. The Xenothian counselor who had previously denounced the human vessel cleared his throat, his imposing figure casting a shadow over the proceedings. The human race has demonstrated a level of technological sophistication that we did not anticipate. This warship, and the power it wields, represents a clear and present danger to the stability of the galaxy. Amara met his gaze evenly, her expression calm and resolute. The human race has long been underestimated and overlooked by this council. We have proven our worth time and time again, and yet our contributions have been dismissed or disregarded. This warship is a testament to the potential that lies within us, a potential that you can no longer afford to ignore. The Eclarian counselor raised a hand, her tone measured and diplomatic. We understand your desire for recognition and inclusion, Delegate Zahn. However, the integration of a new member into the Galactic Council is a complex and delicate process. There are concerns that must be addressed, both in terms of security and the established balance of power. Amara nodded, her eyes narrowing slightly. I am well aware of the challenges, Counselor. But the human race is prepared to take on those responsibilities, to become active and contributing members of this alliance. All we ask is that you give us the opportunity to prove ourselves. The Xenothian counselor scoffed, his lip curling in disdain. And what assurances can you offer that this warship will not be used to disrupt the fragile peace we have maintained for centuries? The stakes are too high to simply grant you a seat at our table. Ava, who had been observing the proceedings from the shadows, stepped forward, her expression resolute. Counselors, I can assure you that the human race has no desire to upend the established order. We simply wish to be recognized as equal partners, with a voice in the decisions that shape our shared future. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the assembled leaders. But the warship you speak of, it is a powerful and dangerous tool, one that must be handled with the utmost care. I propose that we work together to integrate our technologies and our knowledge, to ensure that this vessel is used for the benefit of all. The counselors exchanged uneasy glances, their expressions a mix of skepticism and cautious interest. Amara seized the opportunity, leaning forward in her seat. Counselors, we are at a crossroads. You can either continue to dismiss and underestimate the human race, or you can choose to embrace us as true partners in the galactic community. The choice is yours, but know this: the human warship is not going away, and we will not be silenced or subjugated any longer. The chamber fell silent, the weight of Amara's words hanging heavy in the air. The fate of humanity and the delicate balance of power in the galaxy rested on the decision of the Galactic Council. As the counselors deliberated, Ava and Amara exchanged a tense, uncertain glance, both of them acutely aware that the next few moments would shape the course of their species' future. The tension in the council chambers was palpable as the Galactic Council leaders deliberated the fate of humanity and the formidable human warship. Ava and Amara stood vigil, their eyes locked on the assembled alien representatives, waiting with bated breath for the decision that would shape their species' future. After what felt like an eternity, the Aclarian counselor rose from her seat, her expression grave but resolute. The Galactic Council has reached a decision, she announced, her voice carrying a weight that silenced the room. Amara and Elda exchanged a tense glance, their hearts pounding with a mixture of anticipation and dread. What would the Council's verdict be? Would they be granted the recognition and inclusion they so desperately sought? Or would their plea for acceptance be rejected, leaving them to forge their own path in the galaxy? We have carefully considered the implications of integrating the human race into the Galactic Council. The Aclarian continued, her gaze sweeping across the assembly. The power and potential of your species, as demonstrated by the reactivation of this forgotten warship, is undeniable. Amara felt a glimmer of hope stirring within her, but she dared not let her guard down. The Aclarian's expression remained somber, hinting at the gravity of the decision. However, the Council also recognizes the risks and responsibilities that come with granting you a seat at our table, the Aclarian said, her tone measured and precise. The balance of power in the galaxy is a delicate one, and the introduction of a new technologically advanced species could upset that balance in ways that we cannot predict. Ava felt her heart sink as the Aclarian's words sank in. Were they about to be denied after all their efforts? But then, the Aclarian's expression softened, and she raised a hand to silence the murmurs that had begun to ripple through the chamber. Therefore, the Galactic Council has decided to grant the human race a provisional seat on the Council, with the understanding that you will work closely with us to integrate your technologies and knowledge, and to ensure that the power of the human warship is wielded responsibly, and for the benefit of all. Amara felt a surge of elation, her eyes widening with disbelief. You're granting us a seat, she breathed, struggling to contain her emotions. The Aclarian nodded, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her lips. Yes, Delegate Zahn, the human race has earned the right to be recognized as an equal among the great civilizations of the galaxy. Welcome to the Galactic Council. The chamber erupted into a chorus of murmurs and hushed conversations as the other counselors reluctantly accepted the decision. Ava felt a mix of relief and trepidation, knowing that the hard work was only just beginning. As Amara and Ava stepped out of the council chambers, the young diplomat couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph. "Can you believe it, Ava?" she said, her eyes shining with pride. "We did it. Humanity has finally taken its place among the stars." Ava nodded, her expression pensive. Yes, but now, the real challenge begins. We have to prove ourselves worthy of this opportunity, to show the Council that they made the right decision in granting us a seat at their table. Amara placed a hand on Ava's shoulder, her gaze unwavering. We will, Ava. I have no doubt that the human race is up to the task. Together, we will forge a new pathway, one that will change the course of the galaxy forever. In the years that followed the Galactic Council's historic decision to grant humanity a seat at their table, the human race found itself at the forefront of a new era of interstellar cooperation and discovery. Hava Kincaid, the engineer who had reactivated the forgotten warship, quickly became a sought-after expert, her knowledge and insights eagerly sought by the Council's leading scientists and strategists. Under her guidance, the integration of human and alien technologies began to yield remarkable breakthroughs, paving the way for unprecedented advancements in fields ranging from faster-than-light travel to sustainable energy production. Amara Zahn, the young diplomat who had so passionately advocated for humanity's inclusion, found herself at the heart of the Council's deliberations, her voice carrying weight and influence as she worked tirelessly to forge stronger ties between the human colonies and the diverse alien civilizations. With each new alliance and trade agreement, the barriers that had once divided the galaxy began to crumble, replaced by a growing sense of unity and shared purpose. And at the center of it all stood the reactivated warship, its sleek, angular silhouette a symbol of humanity's resilience and technological prowess. Once a forgotten relic, the vessel had become a cornerstone of the Galactic Council's new defense strategy, its advanced systems and weapons capabilities serving as a deterrent against any who would dare threaten the fragile peace that now reigned across the stars. But the warship's true power lay not in its destructive might, but in its capacity for discovery and exploration. With the Galactic Council's full backing, Ava and her team of human and alien engineers began to unlock the vessel's deeper secrets, uncovering technologies and capabilities that had long been thought impossible. As the warship ventured out into the unknown regions of space, its sensors probing the mysteries of the cosmos, Ava and her crew made startling discoveries. Ancient ruins, untapped resources, and even the remnants of long-lost civilizations. Each new finding served to deepen the understanding and appreciation between the human race and its newfound allies, forging bonds of trust and mutual respect that would endure for generations to come. And when the warship's sensors detected the first faint signs of an intelligent, extragalactic civilization, the excitement and anticipation within the council chambers was palpable. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy was poised to make contact with a species beyond its borders, and the human race, once dismissed and overlooked, would be at the forefront of this momentous encounter. As Ava stood on the bridge of the warship, her eyes fixed on the distant stars, she couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder and pride. The journey had been long and arduous, filled with challenges and setbacks, but the human race had emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. "We did it," she whispered, a smile playing on her lips. "We've taken our rightful place among the stars." With the human warship leading the way, the galaxy braced itself for a new era of collaboration, exploration, and the boundless potential that lay ahead. The future was theirs to forge, and the human race was ready to leave an indelible mark on the cosmos.